Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Nazram bin Azhari. So for the introduction, sustainable development is defined as development that meets current need without affecting future generation ability to meet their own. There are three parts to sustainable development. To begin with, there is social equality, which include living circumstances, equitable opportunity, social cohesiveness, and others. Next, economic efficiency, which include economic growth, efficiency and competitiveness, flexibility and stability, production or consumption, and many more. The final section is environmental responsibility, which includes resource use, material and waste, danger or rate of change, and cultural landscape. Then, since 1970s, sustainable development has been at the heart of Malaysia's development strategy, with a focus on reducing poverty, enhancing people well-being, ensuring universal access to education, and protecting the environment. Malaysia was placed 65 out of 165 nations in the current Sustainable Development Report 2021. This task will go into greater detail about the effort and challenge faced by local government in implementing the Local Agenda 21 program. Using the Dewan Bandaraya Kuala Lumpur (DBKL) as an example of a local government that is a subject of this task, it will also encourage public participation in sustainable development efforts.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nik Muhammad Salman Farisi bin Ned Asli. For the Local Agenda, Local Agenda 21 is a program specifically designed to forge partnerships between local authorities such as City Hall, City Council, the Municipal Council and District Councils, together with the local community, which serve to work together in planning and taking care of their surroundings toward achieving sustainable development in their area. LA21 was born out of the United Nations Conference on Environmental and Development (UNCED), widely recognized as the Earth Summit, which was held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil on June 1992. A total of 178 countries, including Malaysia, attended this conference and adopted its findings, which include Agenda 21 to their respective countries. The objective of Local Agenda 21, as stated in Agenda 21 first, is by 1996, most local authorities in each country should have undertaken a consultative process with their populations and achieved a consensus on a Local Agenda 21 for the community. Next is by 1993, the international community should have initiated a consultative process aimed at increasing cooperation between local authorities. Third objective is, by 1994, representative of Association of Cities and other local authorities should have increased level of cooperation and coordination with the goal of enhancing the exchange of information and experience among local authority. And lastly is, all local authorities in each country should be encouraged to implement and monitor programs which aim at ensuring that women and youth are represented in decision-making, planning and implementation process. Its main feature is to address the economic, social and environmental needs together, in addition to the involvement of the local community. The first is the environment, aimed at implementing sustainable development programs and the consequences of human activities on the environment and health. The second is social equality, where the acquisition and control of resources is more desirable. As for economic characteristics, it aims for social and economic development that will be able to help the community to meet their basic daily needs. The activity also takes into accountable features of the future, where any decision should not affect the interests of future generations.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Arfan Afham bin Awang. I will talk about the program undertaken by DBKL in implementing Local Agenda 21. First is activity design and implement a system. The LA21 Kuala Lumpur program began in 2005. In the first phase, a lot of focus was given to the planning process, which is to develop a framework and work system in guiding in implementing LA21. For the implementation of the LA21, theme is to create 4 themes in all, namely clean and beautiful cities, prosperous cities, safe cities, and e-cities. Each theme is defined so that its implementation will provide effective impact and justification on clean and beautiful city. The city environment, particularly in public areas, is clean, orderly, and well organized. Urban preservation and environmental protection, such as woods, rivers, and natural habitats. Prosperous city is a city that constantly create and improve the environment and a high level of community health in terms of mental, physical, social, and spiritual well-being, as well as developing community resources productivity that allows people to assist one another in all aspects of life and to grow to their full potential. Safe city defined as a city free of all physical, social, and psychological dangers. DBKL and the necessary parties must ensure that the city's citizens are always safe, prosperous, healthy, and happy. DBKL requires well-organized initiative to help establish a physical environment that can aid in crime prevention based on the premise the prevention is better than cure. E-City. It is a city based on the development of information technology with the provision of programs aims at bridging the digital divide between the community, especially for the low-income group by focusing on public housing areas in the city.
So for the first one is cooperation between the local community and the private sector. Obtaining cooperation from the local community and the private sector is difficult. Lack of public understanding of the importance of LA21 implementation because they still do not fully comprehend LA21 and only believe that the DBKL must implement LA21 on their own, when they must actually play a role and collaborate with local authorities to ensure that LA21 is implemented successfully. DBKL supervises several levels of the local community as well as the private sector. With such a vast number of skills, obtaining their participation in the program is far less likely, unless they seek DBKL for assistance in putting a program in place. The community and private sector can only be reached by channeling of funds. This is one of the strategies DBKL used to pique the interest of the local population in participating in the effective implementation of LA21. This dilemma occurs because the private sector may be hesitant to collaborate with DBKL to implement LA21 because they believe they will not gain from the implementation. The second challenge is cooperation among staff. Early on, there were issues with the DBKL staff not cooperating. As previously stated, the role of the local government in managing joint ventures between local governments, the local community, and the business sector is critical to the effective implementation. This means that the local governments should be highly motivated to guarantee that the ministry's goal of seeing all local governments implement LA21 under their individual administrations is realized. Acceptance in the implementation of LA21 by DBKL is not universal, since some are cross-curricular. That is, that they deny the acceptance of LA21 duty among DBKL departments or units to lead the implementation of LA21. The last challenge is allocation problems. Apart from the issue of collaboration between the local community and the private sector, the Ministry of Housing and local government's implementation difficulty for LA21 is owing to funding difficulties. Quite challenging because the specific allocation for LA21 implementation is insufficient to pay the budget for LA21 implementation. As a result, DBKL had to find its own allocations in order to make the LA21 initiative a success. When it comes to the 4 Malaysian local governments that pioneered the LA21 initiative, they have unique provisions for startups, and the local governments participating will need to raise more cash to continue the LA21 implementation forward. As a result, putting a strong focus on comprehending LA21 is critical, particularly for the business sector, because the effective implementation of LA21 is primarily reliant on private sector funding.
DBKL has put in a tremendous effort, even though the challenges they face are on a different scale. With current programs that are actively carried out, DBKL may be used as an example today, and they have also overcome problems one by one to reach the full objective of Local Agenda 21. In terms of Local Agenda implementation, DBKL should serve as an example and a model for other local government. Dewan Bandaraya Kuala Lumpur has implemented the Local Agenda 21 initiative. DBKL has shown that participants both in the commercial and public sector have increased their knowledge, attitude, abilities, goals, and behavior connected to sustainable development year after year.